Okay, back to Markdown sitegen. What do we have here? Well, I wrote this little job here. Actually, it's mostly copy and pasted, but it's a GitHub Actions job to deploy an example site with this package. So anybody who wants to use this package can easily just copy this and use it themselves for GitHub Actions. And the result after this runs is that the GH Pages branch gets a commit on it with all of the files that you see in the build folder here. Currently only 2 files. And then if you go to whatever your username is .github.io, in this case /markdown sitegen for the project, and here we have the index.html that we generated on the public web. And if we go to /091 webgl1.html, we have our post. That was easy. Okay, great. Now what's the problem here? I think if we delete the .html, we might lose our page. Oh no, it does work. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I thought we would have to nest it under like /index.html, like make a folder instead of a file, but it seems to work just fine with the file. So that's great, actually. Next then, I think, would be to add some basic styling so it's not just raw HTML. And then we might be getting to a point where it's pretty usable and we can, I'm just trying to think about what's next. What do I need to replace this website with Markdown sitegen? And then after that, how do we add so that you can override the built-in styles with your own content? So that's a lot of stuff to think about. Let's just start with some basic styling. Yeah, here's my plan in a nutshell. Some basic styling. Then we want to post only if the date's in the future, which allows you to basically schedule posts by just adding them to the repo, but they won't post until the date arrives. If you want to rebuild the pages every day, that's fine. And then allow override. I think we can do an eject command. Some Node.js projects have, particularly Expo, have an eject command, or maybe not Expo, maybe Node React.js. Either way, eject is where it takes all those template files that it's assuming are there and copies them verbatim into your directory there, where you can edit them however you want, but then you lose the support of the framework. So it's on you to maintain those files that get ejected. Or at least a similar concept, we'll see. Something that I forgot before we can do any nesting of any sort, I did add a main.css, but I realized we didn't even set up nesting yet. When you supply a path, yes, it doesn't generate unless you supply a path, but it doesn't do anything with that path. So let's go ahead and add a directory structure, see if we can link in a CSS sheet, and then we'll call it a video. Okay, I took a few days off and forgot where I was. As it turns out, that was really easy. All I had to do was change this line a little bit. Instead of having the rel path be generated based on all these different things, just use the one defined declaratively in the post, add.html, and would you look at that, it generates our blog, nested post, all that stuff works just fine. So back to styling. Here's a bit of a nitpicky problem. In order to pass in a CSS file that I plan to copy from the static directory here, just to the root directory here, just a bunch of files that you want to copy right into the root of the website, we need the posts to know where that is. And we can't rely on the site being at the root of a website. In the case of this current one, it's at /markdown sitegen, right? So if you look at /main.css, that's outside of the purview of our website. That's // from our website, if that makes any sense. If you're looking for blah.com/markdown sitegen, right? We generated to here, and we're looking for /main.css. If you are here and you want to get to main.css, how do I illustrate this? You need to go .. to get to the post directory, .. again to get to the main directory, .. again to get to markdown-site, right? So we need something to calculate that and pass it into the post so it knows where to look for stuff. I called that variable root path, and in the CLI file, I added root path equals get root path and started to define the method. And as I started to come up with a first pass at this, I realized, hey, I need to write a test case for this because it's too complicated for me to do this in my head. So I did start with that. And if I run PyTest, I am failing. And I discovered that if you split a string with one token, so I made some bad assumptions here, right? I end up with a bunch of empty strings. My next thing to try, this might be unclear, I'm just babbling away here. My next thing to try is I'm going to filter out empty strings. Then I think we might have a good implementation here. The implementation so far is just get the result string, calculate the number of slashes basically by splitting the relative path on slashes. That's not actually the number of slashes, I now know. And for each slash you encounter, add a dot dot slash. So let me play with this and see if I can get something that works. Hooray, it looks. Check out the spaghetti code. I always hate it when people do this, but I do it. So let me fix this real quick. Honestly, I'm not going to fix it. Let me just write a comment. Get the number of slashes. What's going on here? We split on slashes, but we want to filter out any of those empty strings, because watch this. Check out the result down here. Hello slash world slash. We get 3 strings out. One of them is blank because there's nothing after the final slash. So if we filter that out, we do get a number of slashes, which is 2. I don't know if that holds in all cases, but it doesn't really matter. If we started with a slash in front of that, I think we'd have 3 slashes. But if we filter out the empty strings, we only have 2. So it really shouldn't be called num slashes. It should be like numders or something like that. Either way, the test case that I have here passes. So I'm happy. I'm going to move on. Look at that. We have our green background, which is defined in our CSS file right here, in the index file, and in the post file. I ended up copying the entire static directory right into the build directory without changing it. On to styling. Okay, we have the blog title, which we maybe can load from a config file, and we're starting to flesh things out. I like Roboto, so I'm just going to throw that on as the font in just a moment, but we have some basic styling in place. It's not pretty, but eventually I'm going to have to add all the features from PageKeyTech.com, so fear not. We will eventually have a logo and some other cool links and things. Google Fonts is totally awesome. You just click the one that you want. It brings it up in a little panel, and I like the add imports because you can paste it right into your CSS file. You can just do, where'd it go? Right here. Paste your add import. Then you can paste in your font family wherever you want it. In this case, I'm going to apply it to everything. And I have a little one-liner down here all set up to build and then serve using Python. So if we refresh, Control F5 to kill the cache, and we get a slightly better font. Not bad. Now, to be perfectly honest, I'm really tired of trying to remember where things are on this blog already. I just, even though I'm just getting started here, I think before I can continue, that is the next feature that really needs to happen, is some kind of directory listing support at least. So I think that'll have to be the next video though. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for following along with this development, and I'll see you next time. If you liked it, leave a comment, let me know. Any suggestions, leave those in the comments too. And we have a Discord server that you can join to talk about all these sorts of projects on this channel. So thanks a bunch. Bye.